Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about the state of Florida in the 2024 presidential election and how there is a new polling that could indicate that it will, in fact, be close in 2024, as well as something else that could really boost Kamala Harris in the pretty now Republican state of Florida, that being ballot measures. Ballot measures are extremely important. They can affect outcomes of elections. They have in the past. So, for example, in Florida this year, there are many ballot measures, but two very prominent ones. Florida voters will be voting on ballot measures relating abortion rights and legalizing marijuana, two issues that are extremely popular throughout the nation, but two issues that the Democrats are, on the popular side of, and the Republicans are on the unpopular side of. Through and through, this could help Democrats down ballot when voters are voting on these two key issues that they are overwhelmingly in support of: abortion rights, and legalizing marijuana. That could, then encourage voters, make them much more likely to then vote for Democrats who have made these two issues a base of their campaign, right? A basis of their campaign, basing their campaign off of some of these issues. That would make it more likely that these voters who might not vote for Democrats typically, but are in support of these issues, are on the Democratic position on these issues, that could make them more likely for these voters to then vote for these Democratic candidates. So if Kamala Harris plays her cards right with these two abortion issues, with these two ballot measures, I should say, abortion and recreational marijuana, then she can make Florida competitive and may have a chance. So, for example, in Florida, these two ballot measures, in particular, public policy polling, polled support in the presidential race in Florida, but as well as the ballot measures. So, abortion rights. This is, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's, protecting abortion rights, basically, in the state of Florida. And, it's going down to a ballot measure. This is not the state legislature. This is, the actual voters voting on this issue. So, abortion rights. 61% are in favor of the yes position, which is the pro-choice position. And only 25% are in favor of the pro-life position. 14% are unsure. Recreational marijuana, 57% are pro, 34% are against, 9% are not sure. So, these are insane polls for such progressive ideals, ballot measures like abortion rights and recreational marijuana. Of course, Florida is a very Republican state. They voted for Senator Marco Rubio. They reelected him just 2 years ago in 2022. By 16.4 percentage points, and even worse for Democrats, even better for Republicans. The same year, they reelected Ron DeSantis by 19.4%. Now, when you look on the presidential level, 4 years ago, in 2020, Donald Trump only won by 3.4%, but that was still a shift towards the right from his margin of victory of 1.2% 4 years before that, 2016. So Florida is trending Republican, but clearly they still have progressive ideals. The voters in the state still hold many progressive ideals, but for whatever reason, the Republican Party of Florida has really been able to capture the state. They have been running good campaigns lately, while the Florida Democratic Party is one of the most incompetent state Democratic parties in the nation. So if they get their game together, it's obvious that, especially with all these ancestral Democrats in Florida, that Democrats can take back the state of Florida. I really believe that. Sooner or later, they can do it if they play their cards right and run a good campaign. So again, these ballot measures on the state of Florida can make a big impact, especially with someone like Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket now. When you look back when Joe Biden was back in the race, this was not looking like a remotely competitive state. It was 4 years ago, but it was not anymore. In every poll, Trump was plus. Well, YouGov is an extremely accurate pollster, typically. Trump plus 10. So it was looking like it would be a blowout for Trump. We didn't need to look at the state of Florida. But now with Kamala Harris, look at these trends. We see it in this public policy polling. This is the new poll. This is the same exact poll as these ballot measures. They also polled the presidential race. When you include Kennedy, West, and Stein, I believe that Kennedy is staying on the ballot in Florida, I'm pretty sure. Trump is ahead by 3. In the head-to-head, Trump is ahead by 4. On average, Donald Trump stands at a 4% lead over Harris in the state of Florida. So this is getting closer. Not too long ago, he was ahead by 5. If a trend like this were to continue, Harris would be leading by November. So, Florida is looking increasingly competitive. It looks like in polling, it's at about where it was 4 years ago, 3.4%, but it could get even closer. Who knows? But this would be extremely important, right? Not only just time and resources and money that's going to Florida now, diverging from other states. I mean, this is Democrats now expanding the map, which is exactly what they need to do. What Democrats want to do is, get a sort of a hold on some of these traditionally battleground states like Michigan, maybe Pennsylvania. Not a lock. It's impossible to get a lock on battleground states, but really get their chances, get high odds in some of these states like Michigan, like Pennsylvania. And then on top of that, what they want to do is expand the electoral map, especially when Biden was back in the race looking like a very weak candidate. He had to go back and defend these blue states. He had to defend Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine, Virginia, New Mexico. They were looking very competitive. Trump was leading in some of these polls. But now Harris is flipping the script. Oh, she has New Mexico, Minnesota, New Hampshire, these bluer states. She has those on lockdown. Those aren't getting competitive. But now the roles are reversed. Now she is the one heading into red states, expanding the electoral map, shrinking down Donald Trump's floor. So that what that means is, going to North Carolina. Now she's tied in North Carolina. It's toss-up. Going down to Florida. Getting Florida extremely close. Texas is now looking close. In this, I don't know. They polled Texas also in this poll, but I don't know what the result was. So that's exactly what she needs to do, is expand this electoral map. So Donald Trump's floor goes down and down and down. At one time, here, I'll just show you this. At one time when Biden was back in the race, it really looked like Donald Trump's floor of support was at about 235 electoral votes. You could even argue that he had Georgia in the bag as well. I was about to do that. And he had a floor of 251 electoral votes. That was reasonable. But now, that was with Biden in the race. But now, with Harris in the race, and with Biden in the race, New Mexico, Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine, these were all looking like toss-ups. It was a floor for Joe Biden of 192 electoral votes. Donald Trump had a floor of 251. He was so clearly favored to win. But now Harris has these bluer states in the bag, right? They're not looking competitive at all. And Harris, I would even put Michigan potentially in her column already. I would maybe make that a likely state. So now she already has a massive floor, and nearing what Donald Trump was back, when Biden was back in the race. So this could change everything. I mean, let's just talk about a scenario where the state of Florida does in fact go blue, because again, that probably, if Florida is going blue by tilt margin, that probably means that every other swing state is going blue as well, by a lean margin, every single other one. But if she wins Florida, then that's an electoral landslide. That's 349 electoral votes. Now this issue also I want to bring up, this issue of abortion, particularly marijuana as well, but especially abortion, because that really gets women out to the polls, and probably some men, but women prominently. But this issue of abortion is always good for Democrats. It's always on the winning side. The pro-choice option always wins. There was a ballot measure 2 years ago, 2022, in Kansas. Kansas is a deeply Republican state. They voted for Trump by 15 points in 2020. And this was a huge shock. So they worded it weird, but bear with me. No state constitutional right to abortion. No, that word is critical. No state constitutional right to abortion. the no vote won. Because no, they're saying a no to no state constitutional right. So it's basically saying yes, constitutional right to abortion. That won. 60-40, basically. 60-40 in deep red conservative Kansas, supposedly. So, I brought up Kansas because I'm not going to go through every example, but if Kansas is voting by 20 for the pro-choice side, then you would, expect where California, Ohio, Michigan, even Montana goes, and even Kentucky. I believe the pro-choice side did win in Kentucky 2 years ago. Yeah. No right to abortion. In Kentucky, no right to abortion. The no vote won 52-48. If you see what I'm doing. So it's yes, right, yes, a right to abortion in Kentucky. If that makes sense. They word it weird. But this could be interesting in Florida. And the interesting thing is also in Florida, the polling isn't exactly going to capture this, right? It won't capture. Traditionally, non-voters go and turn out to the polls to vote on these particular ballot measures. If they go out and vote on these ballot measures to vote for these ballot measures, then they are almost certainly going to vote Democrat down ballot. And I don't think that polling would be able to accurately capture that. So, interesting race shaping up in Florida. I'd like to see where it goes. So, thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before Election Day. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.